Hello everyone. If you are new, welcome. If you are not new, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Growth with Soph, where we talk all things lean bulking, the gym, fitness, and all of that beautiful jazz, and just trying to become better versions of ourselves. So if that sounds good to you, if you're on a lean bulk journey, if you're on any kind of fitness journey, any kind of journey to better yourself mentally, physically, make sure to subscribe. This video is how to lean bulk, a simplified guide, because honestly there is so much conflicting information, and I know when I was starting my own weight gain, muscle gain journey a few months ago, about 4 or 5 months back, I was so confused and so intimidated, and I just did not know what I was doing, and I made so many mistakes. And I just want to simplify things, so I'm going to break everything down into three key parts. I'm going to break it down into nutrition, training, and some helpful extra little tips. Yeah. Let's first just establish what a lean bulk actually is. So essentially what a lean bulk is eating intentionally in like a calorie surplus, so eating more than you burn with the intention of gaining weight, primarily gaining lean muscle mass. I know for me, the reason I started my lean bulk journey, it was a few months ago. I was like working a really physical job. I was just kind of neglecting myself, neglecting my health, and I just ended up losing quite a lot of muscle mass unintentionally. Lost quite a bit of weight and felt really tired and weak and cold and crap. Basically, it just felt really crap. And I was like, no, and I'm still on this journey. I won't go into too much detail, but that's just a little bit of background on how I started my lean bulk and why. Anyway, let's dive right in. So, let's dive into nutrition first and foremost. So, this is arguably the most important part of your lean bulk because you're trying to gain weight, and the way to do that is to eat more than you burn and to do that in a specific way. Dirty bulk, you probably just you're trying to just put on size any way that you can. So it's less focused on what you're actually eating and more about just getting the calories in. With your lean bulk, you're eating in a calorie surplus, and you want to be trying to prioritize whole foods, foods that are nutritious. I mean, you're going to gain lean muscle mass rather than a lot of excessive kind of body fat. And I just want to also say, in your lean bulk, you will gain some body fat, and that is absolutely okay. It's worth it. And like, I've gained body fat over the past few months, as well as lean muscle mass, and like, the world's not ended. It's fine. So with your nutrition, you want to be prioritizing enough protein. Protein is essentially building blocks for your muscles. It is so important, and it's good to try and get about 25 to 30 grams plus protein in each meal. It's just a general baseline. Carbohydrates on your lean bulk. Don't be scared of carbohydrates. They are so great. Things like, sweet potatoes. I love quinoa. It's also got a good amount of protein in. Things like that. Then that's going to fuel you to perform in your workouts and push hard. And also healthy fats as well. They're also really important for just our general health. Even if you aren't on a lean bulk, healthy fats are great. Things like nuts, avocados, egg yolk. They're great for, skin health, hair health, nail strengthening. My hair's gone so much nicer since I started eating more fats and stopped being scared of things. They're also a really good way to get in those extra calories on your bulk if you do struggle to eat a lot of food. So for me, eating in that surplus, eating more than I was used to, was really, really difficult. Like physically, it was really hard and really uncomfortable. And I remember feeling kind of nauseous and like bloated and full all the time. And the truth is, you probably will feel like that at the beginning because you aren't used to being in the surplus. Now my body has adapted to that, and I don't get bloated like that. I don't feel so uncomfortable. Sometimes I do, don't get me wrong. But especially in the initial stages, you have to push through that feeling of uncomfortableness in order to get to where you want to be. I'm not saying eat until you feel like you're going to physically be sick, but you know, you do have to push past the point of comfort sometimes. So The final point on our nutrition, I want to just talk about how you can actually know you're in a calorie surplus. Um, how do I know I'm eating more than I'm burning? So what you can do, there's a couple ways that you can do this. There's a couple ways you can approach it. So to make sure you're in a surplus, you can either do that intuitively, so you don't track your calories, or you can loosely or just track. So with the intuitive approach, you can think about doing things like, so what you would normally have takes, like, for your breakfast, for example, maybe like two scrambled eggs and a piece of toast. Maybe add another piece of toast and some avocado, or maybe like if you usually have, I don't know, like one scoop of rice with your dinner, maybe add another one, maybe add another spoon. Just like increase your serving sizes. Or like maybe like add in one or two extra snacks throughout the day. That's something that I did. I added like an extra snack in the afternoon, sometimes in the morning, and I just found that was quite helpful. And obviously, if you're just adding like an extra snack on top of what you would normally have, that's obviously going to mean you're eating more than you are usually, and you don't necessarily need to track calories to know that. So that's something that you can do. Maybe like a smoothie or like a drink of milk or something, like some liquid calories. Get them into the day, just like sip on things like milk or juice, even, protein shakes, things like that. So that can be a way to do it intuitively without tracking calories. Another option is to track your calories to make sure you are in a surplus, and it's very individual what surplus is for you. So normally what's recommended is a 200 to 300 calorie surplus, so that added onto what you would normally be eating. For me, or loosely tracked for a time, so I knew I was getting enough. But I personally, and I don't like sharing numbers because I know that there can be a lot of comparison, my surplus is more than 300, definitely, 100%. So it is so individual. So don't take that as gospel. Maybe try that, and then if you plateau for a few weeks, maybe increase it again. So tracking your calories certainly isn't for everyone. Now I am so fortunate to be in a place where my mindset is like, no, I'm doing this so that I'm getting enough. I'm doing this so I'm making sure that I'm getting enough. So loosely, I do track calories the moment while I am getting used to eating this surplus, because it is more than I am used to, quite a lot more than I'm used to. So if I wasn't to track, there's no way that I would be hitting the goals that I am trying to aim for and getting in enough. Find out what your maintenance calories are. So what you would maybe for like a week or so, what you would just normally be eating. Just track for like 7 days how many calories you're eating. And then divide that by seven, and you'll get kind of your loose maintenance. You could also use like an online calculator to figure out your maintenance calories as well. And then think about adding an extra 200, 300 on top of that. Another thing that's important to remember is that your body will adapt to the amount you are giving it. So, what was a surplus a few months ago might not be now. That's certainly something that happened to me. My surplus now is a lot more than it was at the beginning, because as you gain muscle mass, having muscle on your frame uses energy, and so you need to progressively eat more, if that makes sense. So let's talk now about training. So the key to building muscle, even if you aren't on a bulk, is progressive overload. And what that means is making it more difficult for your muscles every session, so that not necessarily every session, but maybe like every session, just as often as it happens. Progressive overload is so important because you can then use that extra fuel that you are getting from, your diet to push harder in your sessions. What's really important is adequate rest. So what you want to be doing is pushing hard in your sessions, training hard, training as hard as you can, training to failure, near failure, but making sure you get adequate rest in. It is so important. Please do not neglect your rest days. Like, seriously, it's so important. I'm like, at the beginning I thought I had to train like 6 days a week, 7 days a week to get results. No, no. No, like that's not, no, your muscles aren't going to get any chance to recover and rebuild because when you're on your rest days, that's what is happening. Your muscles are literally repairing. So please rest. But with that being said, you need to be training hard because otherwise your muscles aren't going to grow because they're not getting the stimulus that they need to grow. So there's three ways that you can progressively overload. Just slowing down your reps so that your muscles are under tension for longer. That's a really underrated way to progressively overload, and it's something I really like to do sometimes is to just decrease the weight and slow it down. You could also increase the weight on your exercises, obviously, so increase the physical load on the muscle to increase the like how hard that muscle is having to work, so it'll have to adapt. You could increase reps as well. This one is, I don't really like doing this very much because I feel like you get to a point and it just kind of becomes cardio, which, cardio is great, but uh, like if you're trying to build muscle, gain muscle, then that's not really going to be super helpful. While I am on training, a final point on training is cardio. So cardio and muscle gain, there's a lot of like talk about like cardio kills gains and stuff. It doesn't. Cardio burns calories. It does, we know that. But you just have to make sure you're eating enough, basically. That being said though, like excessive cardio isn't good for anyone anyway, but excessive cardio is gonna make it a lot harder for you to gain weight, gain muscle. So for me, I just like to make sure I'm getting my like steps in, basically, just to keep your heart healthy because it is super important. Please don't neglect it. But with that being said, don't go overboard. So yeah, that's your nutrition and your training covered. So you're eating in your surplus. Here are a few helpful little extra tips. So if you do have like a low appetite, liquid calories and fats are so great. Like low volume, high calorie foods. So for me, personal favorites are things like peanut butter, like adding milk to my coffee. Avocado is, ugh, it's so nice and it's so like it's really calorie dense and nutrient dense. It's so good for you, but it has a lot of calories. Same with peanut butter, really. It has a lot of calories for like a very small amount. So it means if you're not super hungry, you can just do like ton of peanut butter and yogurt, and then you're gonna be fine. So that's something. Another thing is meal prepping or ingredient prepping. So I don't really do meal prep as such unless I'm at work and I'll make a meal to take. But maybe at the beginning of the week, like cook all your potatoes or your chicken, some beef, I don't know, whatever it is that you want to include, and then put them in the fridge. Meal prepping or ingredient prepping is a game changer. It makes it a lot more convenient to hit your goal. You don't have to like spend 1,000 years in the kitchen every day. And a final point is how you can track your progress. So, how do you know that you're actually gaining weight? How do you know that you're gaining muscle? Like, you could be doing all these things, and how would you know? Like, how are you going to track it? Personal way that I love to do is progress photos. So you feel a bit stupid like taking pictures of yourself, but if you take a photo of yourself like at the beginning of your journey and then just like as you progress through it, like maybe like every couple weeks, every week, every month, however often you want to be doing the progress photo, just you can see change. Like I have been doing this again for like 4 months and I have more muscle on my frame. I'm very happy about that. And I recently started taking progress photos because obviously we are not done. So yeah, it's just really nice to look back and see where you were and then look where you are now. So that's a really nice way to do it. Another thing you can do is use scale weight. I do have a few issues with just using the scale. I feel like if you are going to use a weighing scale, you shouldn't use it in isolation. So you shouldn't use it on its own um as the only measure of progress of on your like bulk, which sounds weird because you're trying to gain weight, so why wouldn't you use your weight as the only measurement? But scale weight like can be thrown off by so many different things, like how much water you drank in the day, like what stage of your menstrual cycle you're in, just so many things. So if you are going to use scale weight, I would take an average and I would also still be doing progress photos and just be making sure that you are increasing in strength on your workouts. Scale weight can be helpful to see if you are actually, increasing your weight. But again, it should be looked at as a general trend. So, like, that you can't just like take your weight and then weigh yourself the next week and be like, oh, I've like gained 3 kilograms. I need to stop and slow down and stop. It can really just cause a bit of panic, if I'm honest, if you're not looking at it sensibly and you're not being like, okay, so what's the general trend over like a few weeks or months? But again, that being said, it can be helpful. Another thing about scale weight is it doesn't actually tell you if it's lean muscle mass that you are gaining. Muscle weighs more than body fat as well. So again, don't panic if it like goes up a lot. But yeah, so you can use the scale, you can do progress photos um to track your progress. So essentially we've covered nutrition, training, and a few helpful little bits and bobs. Bottom line is you want to be eating in your surplus, focusing on high quality nutritious foods, just doing the absolute best you can, high protein, plenty of carbohydrate, plenty of fats, fruits and veggies as well, really important for your just general health. And you want to be focusing on training hard, pushing in every session, seeing what you are capable of strength wise, but also making sure that you are prioritizing that rest and recovery as well. So, not necessarily training more volume, but training harder in your sessions. So, I really hope that this cleared up a few things. It really is pretty simple when you get started. And the chances are is that you will do a few things now that you won't do in the few months because you'll be like, oh, there's a better way to do it. You know what I mean? And it's just about finding your feet on your journey. So I really hope that you found this helpful, that you took something away from this video. If you did, please make sure to leave a like on the video, comment any helpful tips that you might have or what you're up to on your journey. I'd love to know. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.